I think we're probably live. There we go. Welcome to Five Out. It's a fast break episode again. It's just me and Austin. But welcome. It's episode 14. We're starting a little late, so we're gonna get right into it. Just like always, though, fiveoutpod.com and links to all of our socials are in the description of the video. But let's get right into it. Yeah, let's talk a little Thanksgiving football. Let's just start, with the noon game. Green Bay Packers 31, the Detroit Lions 24. Um, Jordan Love is activating Toyota-thon mode. He's turning it on in the last 6 weeks of the season, 4 touchdowns. Um, and the Packers keep pace with the Bears in the NFC North, and the Lions continue to fall back in the NFC playoff picture, which is a story to keep an eye on down the stretch of the season.
Yeah. So first off, bro, Jordan Love is he is just such a frustrating football player to watch because he will look like absolute dog shit. I mean, look how he played against the Eagles. It just a few weeks ago, horrendous. We saw him play against the Panthers. We saw him play against the Browns, and even against the Vikings. Like, yeah, that's a good team win, but it's kind of the same way, and I know we'll talk about it as well, but it's kind of the same way I look at Caleb Williams when we're playing, right? The Bears are going out there. I mean, they're getting good wins, but it's like, you expect more from Caleb, and then Jordan Love goes out there and throws 4 touchdowns. And it's like, okay, yeah, all right. But honestly, I think, dude, the Lions defense is just horrible.
It's banged up,
They
right? You
they
gotta
they just look
contextualize.
bad.
The secondary is super banged up, dealing with a lot of injuries, but certainly not the same unit we've grown accustomed to seeing the past couple of years in Detroit.
No.
Um, Jordan Love only a 60% completion percentage. I will say, if we're looking to dunk on Jordan Love a little more, he did go 18 to 30. He did happen to throw 4 touchdowns, with two of them, of course, being to Dontavion Wicks, who
That's
is
so stupid. He's like
uh,
notoriously ass. Like that's the problem with Dontavian Wicks is I pick him up in fantasy on my dynasty team last year. I'm like, man, this guy's going to be a solid. I thought he was going to be a solid wide receiver too throughout his career. He is actually horrible until Thanksgiving. And it's
the
like, okay,
Packers.
bro.
The Packers receivers room is just a probably the
It's not
best
fun.
collection of wide receiver threes that any team could have. It's
It's
just
not fun.
they have 11 wide receiver threes, and Jordan Love's job is to just kind of spread equally amongst them. On the other side, Jamison Williams goes ballistic, 7 catches for
Yeah, he looked
144
awesome.
yards. After Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down and misses the rest of the game, he goes down early. Um, that is important to note, I think, for this Lions offense.
Yeah, I think that he is slated to be out for probably the next 2 weeks. I know they said 1 to 2, but well, he it might only be 1 week depending on like the Lions. I mean, they lost, so they're in a really tough spot. Bears, Bears gaining a game on them, and then Green Bay gaining a game on them is like, okay, so you're getting down towards the end of the season. The NFC is just absolutely loaded. So we'll see how long Amon Ra's out, but I could only imagine he's out for a week. If he can play in that second week, he's going to play.
Yeah. All right, let's move to the afternoon game. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas gets a win to get above 500. If you would have told me that a month ago, I would have been shocked. But
Dude,
moves to 6-5-1. The Chiefs fall to 6-6.
this game was awesome. I really enjoyed watching this game. And I love my family. Okay, I love them. Okay, but they don't really watch football like that. But they are they're what I like to call Facebook warriors, right? So they go out there. I mean, they're getting their numbers in on Facebook, right? They're just pounding these numbers. And it's kind of like how my 14-year-old brother gets his news from TikTok. My family gets their news. So anytime they watch the Chiefs play, they're like, "Oh, this game's rigged for the Kansas City Chiefs." And I'm like, "Guys, they're losing the football game." I mean, but then they're like, "Well, it's the Dallas Cowboys, Austin." And it's like, "Oh, okay." Okay, buddy. And so, but no, it was a super fun game. I enjoyed every minute of it. Dak Prescott looks awesome. George Pickens, probably a top five receiver in football right now. I mean,
Yeah,
he looks
it's
incredible. Uh,
same with
and
CD. They've got two.
and I think the Chiefs look good. Like offensively, they look awesome. I think they're limited in the rushing attack, which will
Yep.
hurt them down the stretch. And it didn't hurt them down the stretch last year, but I think, given a full off season of teams knowing what the Kansas City Chiefs can do, it's like, okay, they have Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. And, Kareem Hunt used to be good. There was a time where he was one of the best running backs in football. Pacheco, he looked like a great young running back. They suck. They are not
Pacheco
good.
Pacheco has been dealing with injuries this year, but really
Ass.
his role is to just essentially be an angry runner, to quote
He just
Kyle
runs
Brandt.
as hard as he can.
He is punishing the ground with every step. And then but Kareem Hunt's specialty, he's like a 1 yard back now. They only run the ball on 3rd and 1. And
Yeah.
he picks it up and he's a great goal line back, but they don't really have a speed threat. I mean, they have Xavier Worthy, who they'll run on end arounds and whatnot, but they don't
Right.
really have a receiving back or a quick like shiftier back. Um,
Which they use Braden Smith like here and there, but they don't use him enough for him to legitimately be an actual weapon
no,
for but like you're seeing Kareem Hunt, what, 2 weeks ago ended up having 30 carries in a football game. And it's like I don't understand what kind of the thought process is for Kansas City heading into this season. Like, okay, you just went 15-2. You got pounded in the Super Bowl. Okay. The Philadelphia Eagles look like the greatest Super Bowl team I've ever watched in that game. And you don't really do a whole lot to improve the team. You keep your guys. Okay, that's cool, whatever. You're getting Rasheed Rice back, you know that. And you just kind of, and I know you're getting Hollywood Brown back. And so they kind of just stayed put. But, you know, rumors going around during the trade deadline, they were going to go get Brees Hall. I don't understand why you don't make the trade for Brees Hall because, I mean, the which I think the running back position is becoming more valuable again, and so running backs are going to start getting paid more. But I just don't understand why you don't make that move for running back at the deadline because you're now relying on only Patrick Mahomes to win you football games. And he's looked awesome. Like last year, I don't know what was up with last year. He just wasn't playing like Patrick Mahomes. This year, he looks absolutely incredible. And their defense kind of stinks.
it's improving, I will say, but like at the start of the year, it was not great. Mahomes, you're right, he has improved his level of play from last year. The biggest issue I still see with the Kansas City offense, obviously aside from the complete lack of a rushing threat, is they miss on their deep balls every time. They have so many downfield threats in Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown in Tyquan Thornton, and those for whatever reason, Pat's just not connecting on those throws, which he hit on. I'm gonna say every single time for about a 5 year window, he was
It
he
felt
was
like
making those throws.
that's what, and I brought that question up to me and my buddies. We were just kind of sitting around, and you know what? I got another, I got another cat in here. This is my family's cat. He kind of looks like George, but ask them. And I was like, what? Like, where did that go? Like, it felt like every other play, Patrick Mahomes was checking it deep to Tyreek Hill, and they were destroying the NFL. And I know they'll say, two high safeties, this and that. It, I mean, they have opportunities to go downfield. They just
Yeah,
cannot connect. And you're not seeing a lot of teams connect on those throws anymore. You're not seeing those, the speedsters just running straight downfield and, hey, you got a quarterback that can throw it a million yards, just chuck it up. You'll see it every once in a while, but you're seeing less and less of these big big explosive plays. Now you're still seeing explosive plays, but I think that also has to do with, you know, too high safety, whatever you want to talk about on the defensive side. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm still worried about the Chiefs though. Like, I don't,
I
I don't
I think
know.
I think circumstantially yes. I think it's out of their control, right? They don't control their own destiny. They, I mean, obviously they're still what 5 games left in their season, and if they go 11-6, I'd imagine they'll probably get in. But right now they're in ninth place in the AFC, right? If the season ends today, they're not in, and the teams ahead of them are the Chargers, the Bills, the Jaguars, these teams that have already beat them. So
Yeah,
they have some work to do, and I
yeah,
as they're not like sputtering on the field,
right.
but their circumstances dictate that they're kind of behind the eight ball right now.
Which they were winning all those one-score games last year. Everybody knew that that was just not
Yep,
going to be the same,
regression coming
and
back.
that's what's happening. Even though they're playing better football, like they're playing so much better football this year than they were last year.
I think so.
Just especially like offensively, it is night and day difference. Which that'll help when Rasheed Rice looks incredible, and um, you have a guy like Hollywood Brown back. You have your weapons back. But I'm looking at the rest of their schedule, and they have Houston next week, and now I think the Houston
That's a must
Texans
win.
suck. Like obviously their defense is probably the best defense we've seen in the past 5 years. Like they are legit. Offensively, they stink.
I They are a conundrum to me because when CJ Stroud is playing quarterback, he is obviously more talented than Davis Mills. He is a better quarterback in almost every way than Davis Mills. And his offensive line seems to really struggle when he's back there, which I didn't play quarterback. I'm
Yep.
assuming that it's connected somehow. But the I saw a stat from last week that the Houston Texans had the best overall offensive line play last week with Davis Mills under center, and that's the difference. That's a difference when in quality quarterback play. If you put a guy behind a good offensive line, obviously they're going to be better. You know, prone to have success. And Davis Mills has, in his own way, turned the Texans season around. And if that's schedule luck, if that's him being more consistent, I don't know what it is, but
I
for
mean,
whatever
they
reason,
they
they're
took
right
down
back in it.
Buffalo. Like
They
that's
did.
that's a which we have our own concerns about the Buffalo Bills, but that is a good football team. That's just they are objectively a good football team.
Hmm.
I think, and I think that this happens with backup quarterbacks. You look at a guy like CJ Stroud, right? He's not looked at as just an average quarterback. I mean, we've seen him play at an extremely high level, an elite level. He's won playoff games. He is looked at differently than a guy like Davis Mills. But Davis Mills doesn't have to do anything out of like he's just an average quarterback, right?
Yeah.
All he has to do is not turn the football over. That's
Hmm.
all you have to do. You have to go out there, do not turn the football over, get the ball into your hands quickly. If the drive ends, the drive ends. You did not turn the ball over. That's what matters. With CJ Stroud, it's not about turning the ball over. It's about going down,
Making plays.
scoring, making
Hmm.
plays, leading your team to the victory. And I think that a lot of people whenever the backup quarterback comes in and plays and they win games, it's like, should they, should the Texans bench CJ Stroud for Davis Mills? And it's like, no, because CJ
Yeah,
Stroud is just better.
you wouldn't intentionally cap your ceiling.
Right. Yeah, I think that's,
CJ Stroud gives you the best chance to be a
yes.
good team. So
Davis
that's
Mills doesn't do anything better than, I mean,
yeah.
really any other backup. Like if you, there are a lot of backups that get thrown in that spot. They're doing exactly what Davis Mills has done. And
Manage the
so,
game.
but I think Kansas City's got to go out there. They have, so it goes Texans, Chargers, and say what you want about the Chargers, but they're what, 7-4?
Yeah,
Like,
they're ahead of Kansas City. So
yeah. And I know that
that's a
they've
game you
had
need to
their
win.
issues. They've had big time issues with the offensive line and such. They got to win that game. So you've got two tough matchups. Then you got Tennessee, which they'll probably keep it close because that's just what Kansas City does. And then you look and you've got then it's the Broncos,
Yep.
which Broncos on Christmas. But if you drop one of these games, then you're 10-7, and then that's when you start questioning, hey, like
Yeah.
you could miss the playoffs. I think at 11
Tiebreakers
wins,
are gonna.
at at 11 wins, I think you're okay,
Yeah.
right? But with um with 10 wins, that's kind of, which I know in the NFC is just absolutely loaded. We'll get into that as well. But the AFC playoff picture is also, it's not, I don't think it's as talented, but it's so much, it's just like teams, there's so many teams involved, right?
Yep.
Like the Jags, they are ass, but they're
They're
involved. You
seven
have
and
to,
four too. Yeah.
right. And I mean, they have a win over the Kansas City Chiefs. And so, I don't know. I think I want to say that Kansas City's fine, but they're, if they drop one of these next two games, I think they're going to be in a really bad spot. And it's going to be
Yeah.
really concerning. Obviously, I mean, listen, the Chiefs could miss the playoffs. Andy Reid's not losing his job. Nobody's losing their job, right? So they're just going to run it back regardless. But that would be tough, especially how they lost the Super Bowl and how brutal that was coming back with your weapons and not being able to get it done.
I heard this point somewhere that you brought up the Buffalo Bills and how essentially their entire team has been built to try and defeat the Kansas City Chiefs. Wouldn't it be ironic if the year that their window kind of opens up, it actually doesn't matter because the Chiefs missed the playoffs, and
Yeah,
then the Bills they get beat by any other number of teams in the AFC that are talented enough to do it.
that's another team that is they're treading very thin water right now, and I I don't know. The AFC is just
The AFC
so
playoff
goofy.
picture is so funny at this
It's so
point of the year.
goofy. And then you look at, like I can segue into this next game. Like you look at the Ravens and they won what, three, four in a row? Was it four, five in a row?
Five in a row.
Five
They
in
were
a
one and
row?
five.
Or 6-5? Everybody's like, oh man, you do not want to be matched up with the Ravens in the wild card round. Like you don't want to do that. They're going to be favored regardless of who they play. And then which maybe this was a trap game, right? You're playing against the Bengals. They just got Joe Burrow back. The Bengals would have to win out essentially to make the postseason.
Which
There's
is what
just
they
no
did last
way.
year.
There's no way they do that.
I
So
think at this time last year they were 4-8,
yeah, and
and they finished 9-8. They still missed the playoffs, but they were there. They were in the
um
mix.
and Baltimore just turned the ball over way too many times in this
Yes,
game.
over and over and over
But
and
Joe
over
Burrow
again.
did look good. Jamar Chase looked good. Um, but I don't know. I think honestly for Baltimore, I think Derrick Henry is. I think we're for the first time ever seeing his decline. Like I think we're seeing like okay, maybe the tread's getting worn off the
Yeah.
tires,
Maybe
right?
he is human.
Yeah. Yeah. Which fun fact, last week a kid in Knox, Indiana, it's a 4A school, little school, or not little, but not a big school by any means. Little white guy, nothing too crazy, maybe a little bit bigger than me, was like 300 yards, I think,
Yep, I
away
saw this.
from his all-time rushing, Derrick Henry's all-time rushing record. Like this kid he averaged over 300 yards a game. Like incredible stuff. He ended up with like 70 in their
Yeah.
playoff game, and he didn't get it. So shout
Yeah,
out
key
that
name
kid
though.
though.
Yeah. Joe Burrow dropped back 47 times in his first game back with the turf toe injury, and he made some plays. He wasn't super efficient, but no T Higgins. He just kind of fed the ball to Jamar Chase and Chase Brown. The rushing attack, they ran the ball 33 times for 128 yards, which is something that we haven't seen at all from the Bengals this year. And
Yeah.
then on the other side, you've got Lamar, who goes 17 of 32 on pass attempts. He takes 3 sacks, and he turns the ball over 3 times. And so I don't know. I don't know if what the takeaway is there, but I think that's just an interesting collection of stats from this
Yeah.
game, especially Lamar doing that against a truly awful Cincinnati defense.
Have been. I mean, they have been horrible. I mean, we've seen some really horrible performances. Shout out the Bears. But I mean, I don't think that there's a whole lot to take away from this game. Like it's a divisional game. It's a perfect trap game. It's on prime time. Like I don't think that there's a whole lot to take away from this game regardless, except I think the Ravens are in the same exact spot as the Kansas City Chiefs. Like
Yeah,
they are in the same exact spot. It's like, well, I mean, we could take a look at their schedule real quick, but you know,
I will say to there it's a twofold equation though for the Ravens because on one hand, right, you're tied with Kansas City and they beat you. They crushed you earlier on this season. So you are behind them for the wild card, so
yeah,
you would need to vault them to get that spot. But at the same time, you're in a division that's still attainable, right? You can go and still catch the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are they're not looking, super inspiring right now. Whereas the Broncos have already built a 4 game lead on Kansas City with 5 to go. That's looking like that's
right.
probably out of the picture for Kansas City. So
Which looking at Baltimore's
yeah,
schedule,
read the
they've
schedule.
I mean they've got the Steelers twice, which is those are I mean they've got the Steelers next week. Huge games because Rodgers will be back. I don't even know which team I would be more scared of playing in the playoffs, if it would be the Steelers or the Ravens. Obviously, you want to say the Ravens because of Lamar, but that team, they kind of stink.
Their defense is figuring out. They're deploying Kyle Hamilton as like a deep safety, which has kind of revitalized their defense, which
Yeah.
was also truly awful for
Oh yeah.
about 7 weeks.
Yeah.
But they've figured that out at least, which the Pittsburgh defense does not strike fear in my heart. They've
It
got
such a weird team.
they're moving Jalen Ramsey to safety because they don't have any safety depth, and they've got Darius Slay and Joey Porter on the edge,
Yeah, like
which
and you got Kyle Duggar, who I think has been good. Like that's what I've heard.
there's no way of knowing.
Yeah, right. Um, but they have TJ Watt, but that's such a it's a very expensive, high paid team, a high paid defense
Yeah,
specifically, and they just stink.
they're average at best. Yeah,
And
it's
so,
you
but
get this thought in your mind when you hear the Steelers and you hear about a Mike Tomlin defense, but
oh, you
yeah,
think
in all
oh,
reality, it's very average.
so they've got so Baltimore will have Pittsburgh, and then Cincinnati again. So you have back to back. Well, you have three consecutive division games. Okay, you you can't drop. Like, yeah, maybe you could split with the Steelers. You cannot get swept by the Bengals. You cannot do
That's yeah,
that.
it's not gonna help.
And so you have two Big Ten divisional games. They've got a tough schedule. You play Pittsburgh twice. You play Cincinnati, who you just lost by 3 scores to, and then you've got New England, and then you've got Green Bay as
Yeah.
well the day after Christmas, and then you end the season with the Steelers. But that's a really tough schedule. I'm more worried about the Ravens missing the postseason than I am Kansas City, just
Yeah.
because I like I think the schedule is in favor. Just you have, I mean, you get to play Tennessee and Las Vegas. Like,
Hmm.
that's nice. Um, but I don't know, and then that raises the question, and we talked about it earlier in the season, right? Is, oh, does Baltimore do they fire John Harbaugh, this and that? And it's like, no, they
No.
won't.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. They're going to keep the same exact team around. They might bring in they might bring in a better RB2 to complement Derrick Henry a little bit better.
Which I
But
really like Keaton Mitchell. I think he's fun. He's, but he is not like he obviously is a great lightning to the Derrick Henry Thunder,
yeah,
but I don't know if he is the type of guy that you're itching to give 15 carries in any game. He's a great
yeah.
like I'll give him 8 carries and he's gonna bust one for a 30-yard run.
I don't think that they don't ever use Keaton Mitchell at that much. I think they're kind of scared to give him too many carries
Yeah,
because which
he's small.
I think he's had like
Yeah,
2 knee injuries now throughout his first 2 years in the NFL, and
really.
it's like, you know, yeah, we want to give him the ball, but we also want him on the field at the same time. Like, the only way you can stay on the field is if you're not hurt. Justice Hill, man, I will never understand what is so enticing about Justice Hill. Like, what is so cool about him?
Yeah, what does he do? What does he do that's above average?
Oh,
You know?
I think he's a poke. I think he went to Oklahoma State,
Yeah,
so
I believe you're correct.
people say that he's good because of that. I'm specifically talking to Zach Reynolds on that one. Like, no, he's not that good. He's not. Actually, no. I don't even have to explain myself for that. He's just not good. So I would be more worried about the Chiefs when it comes to making the play, or I'd be more worried about the Ravens when it comes to making the postseason. But I'm so not worried about the Cincinnati Bengals. Like,
No,
they they stink.
the
That's just not a
AFC
good team.
at this rate, there's too many good enough teams
Right.
to really strike fear in anyone's heart. I
Right.
feel like they like last year we didn't know if the Broncos were legit, and the Broncos they were kind of wavering at the end. The Bengals were just kind of giving them a scare,
Yeah.
but this year there's just too many teams in the mix for the
There's
Bengals
just
to get
no
back into
shot.
it.
Yeah. Agreed.
There's really no way that all of those teams are going to find their way at 9-8, right? I do
You never
want to
know.
going back to reading schedules. I want to give props to the schedule makers because I really feel like this year more so than in the past, they have backloaded the divisional games
Yeah.
and put a lot of them in December, which
Which is good. I
it makes
mean,
for interesting television. I do wonder if I feel like as you get later on in the season, you're going to get more weather games, and weather games tend to be more fluky. So maybe the results of those games are going to be a little less consistent than they would be in the past. But at the same time, it's nice that the Ravens, even though they've dug themselves this hole, they have 4 divisional games left the last 5 weeks to
yeah.
get it done.
Well, you bring up a really interesting point when it comes to, you know, the scheduling process, and, like, yeah, okay, there's going to be super bad. And, you look at the NFC North, they actually have the worst winter games. And nobody has a dome. Wait, well, Minnesota. Minnesota's got the
And
dome.
Detroit. Yeah.
Well, and so that was my next point. Is like, you look at the teams that are in the NFC and the AFC, and you look at who has a dome, right? You look at Detroit, okay, and this is why Jared Goff looks so good when he plays in Detroit. It's
He's a
because
tremendous dome
there's a
quarterback.
dome, okay? He is so unbelievably bad in cold weather. Like he is horrible. And yes, okay, most quarterbacks aren't that great. But Jared Goff is miserable and always has been. That's always been his thing is okay, you look at Detroit, which they had home field advantage last year. Like that would have been the season Detroit would have made the Super Bowl. And Jared Goff, which I know Jared Goff got injured in that game, but
I'd say that
I
was.
I'm just
I'll
throwing
say
shade
that
at
game.
Jared
That game
Goff.
was the defense. The defense gave up 45 points to a 10-7 Commanders team. I think that's probably more indicative of the problem there. But
Yeah,
I don't think we talk enough about Dome being a factor when it comes to like how good a quarterback is.
yeah,
Daniel
no,
Jones has played in New York at MetLife outside for 5 years. He comes to Indianapolis and he becomes a competent NFL quarterback. I think playing in the dome, I don't want to say like it inflates your numbers, but it certainly evens out the playing field.
right.
It keeps you more consistent. And I feel like the one guy that I always think about when I think about a guy who is elite in a dome is Matt Ryan
Yeah,
in Atlanta. Matt Ryan would put up these just historical numbers, I feel like on a weekly basis for about 5 years there in like the mid 2010s for the Falcons. And they went to one Super Bowl, but they never, they were never like like a juggernaut of
no.
any kind in the NFC. But Matt Ryan obviously was that guy. I love
Matt
Matt Ryan.
Ryan, very similar quarterback. Obviously, he's better, but he's a very similar quarterback to Jared Goff. They're two very
Physically,
very
very
similar.
reminiscent. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know they feed off the rushing attack. They which a lot of I mean, let's be honest, a lot of pocket passers obviously they feed off. Except Matthew Stafford, he looks like the greatest quarterback I've ever seen in my life. Um, but a lot of those guys, you know, they feed off the rushing attack. You know, a lot of play action in which obviously you saw that a lot in Detroit because of
Yeah. The Ben
my
Johnson trade.
glorious savior, my king, my Pookie, Ben Johnson. I love that man.
Let's get right into it. So yesterday, 2 p.m. Central, in a
The
game
greatest
that
football game ever
was
played,
not in a
mind you.
dome, where the elements did play a factor. The Bears defeat the Philadelphia Eagles 24-15. The Bears, just a couple of team stats I'm going to read. 28 first downs to Philadelphia's 14. The Bears, obviously, if you watch the game, 281 yards on the ground. They were dominant in the
I mean,
rushing attack.
it was borderline pitiful at one point. Like me and my buddies are just sitting here. We did a little bit of Black Friday shopping, but we're just sitting at my apartment watching the game, and it's like, dude, this is pitiful. Like, I mean, why would Caleb Williams have to throw the football? And yeah, very not good conditions, so he didn't have the greatest game from, you know, a statistical point, right? He wasn't, and there were so many factors in that game. You know, you have receivers falling down. I remember specifically Luther Burden, you know, comes cutting in on like a 7 yard in, and he just slips and falls. Like it's an accurate ball, but he's just falling to the ground. The underthrown touchdown to Odunze, like there were plenty of plays where, and it feels like that's the case every week, is where Caleb wants those balls back. Like he knows as soon as the football leaves his hands, he's like, oh man, I need that ball back. But it was pitiful. And I'll let you read some more stats if you want.
Yeah, so Caleb, 17 to 36, 154 yards, one touchdown, one pick. Um, but what's really interesting, my guy Kyle Monangai, 22
Yes.
carries, 130
Mm,
yards, and a score.
mm.
DeAndre Swift, 18 carries for 125 yards and a score.
Mm,
Your guy, DeAndre Swift.
mm. So we were making a group parlay on the way to Evansville, and I'm like, I for some reason, and it makes sense why the odds on this were good. Caleb Williams is minus like 240 to have 175 plus passing yards, and I'm like, dude, that feels really good. Like we're finding locks, and then my buddy's like, oh, Saquon Barkley, like most rushing yards in this game.
Saquon's dead, dude. He's dead.
He
I don't know what happened.
And obviously, as a Bears fan, I'd like to think that the Bears defense just really stepped up. But this is what we've
This
seen,
happened all season. Yeah.
and it kind of like I don't want to sit there and say that it's an offensive line issue because I really don't think it is. I mean, you're rolling out relatively the same unit. Yeah, you're without Lane Johnson right now, but with Lane Johnson, he was not looking great. He looks like a completely different football player, and the vibes are really off in Philadelphia right now. And
I'm as
so,
big of a Dallas hater as you're gonna find on this podcast,
right.
but I do think it would be extremely comical if Dallas just went and took the division
Oh yeah.
from Philly this year. I'd love that. Um, yeah, I think I again like the offensive line has certainly not been inspiring, I would say, for Philly.
No.
I wonder how much of it is play calling. I believe it's a lot of zone run schemes.
Right.
I feel like I'm just watching him run into a wall every play. Like he's there's no hole to go through. I feel like every time they give the ball to Saquon Barkley, he's running an outside zone and he's just running into a wall of like a mass of nine dudes.
Yeah.
And obviously he hasn't I think against the Giants right before they had their bye, he had a really good game and he was able to bust. I think early in the game he was able to break off like a 70-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
But that's the only time he's done that all year. He did that so often last year. He has not been able to do that one time outside of that one game in
Yeah.
New York, I think.
Which
So,
what's really interesting is now
no,
gotta
you're back.
I gotta switch over. I had to unplug the headphones. That's on me. But what's really interesting is like it feels like to me. I mean, how many offensive coordinators are they going to go through? Right? I mean, the
Is this
Eagles
their
have
fourth
cycled
in
through
4 years?
guys. Yeah, and I think the main issue with the play calling in Philadelphia has to be the kind of quarterback that you have in Jalen Hurts. He's such a unique quarterback. You don't see guys with his skill set, right? He's got a really good deep ball. He's got a beautiful deep ball, okay? But doesn't have the biggest arm. So he doesn't have the biggest arm. He's got a pretty deep ball. He's not the most accurate quarterback, but he can make the easy throws most of the time. Well, 70% of the time, which is most of the time, I would
Yeah.
say. And he's got a big frame, he's a big body, he's a strong runner, but
Like breakaway speed.
he lacks this ability to yeah, he doesn't he's not the fastest guy, he's a very strong runner, but I think he lacks the ability to completely read a football field. And I think that, and you see that a lot in quarterbacks, right? A lot of people were saying that about Jaden Daniels, you know, and a lot of people were
With the
saying
opposite
that
build.
about, Caleb Williams. Look at Justin Fields, right? There's quarterbacks that struggle to read a defense as the play is going. It's just too fast, right? And I don't think that it's a too fast problem for Jalen Hurts because, you know, he seems like a calm, collective guy
Yeah,
all the time.
and
He seems like he's always like in the zone.
he's won a Super Bowl too. Like
Right.
he's had
That's
success.
yeah, and good success. Like he was. I mean, like, and even in the Super Bowl they lost, he was the best player in that game.
Yeah,
But it's like, what is what is missing? They have so much talent offensively. You have a running back coming off one of the best running back seasons of all time. You have your quarterback who, you say what you want about Jalen Hurts, this is a Super Bowl champion at quarterback who plays incredible when he needs to. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, incredible offensive line. Dallas Goddard. I don't understand how you're having this issue. And A.J. Brown is, he's had his issues all season.
yeah. He's been eating the past 2 weeks though.
And yeah, well, shout out to Sean Wright, but man, when you keep throwing the ball towards Deshaun Wright, good things are
Yeah,
going to happen
you're due
most of the time.
for a swing in your direction. Um,
But I think that I think offensive coordinator. I think the Eagles are struggling to find an offensive coordinator that knows exactly what to do with Jalen Hurts.
well, it's hard. I mean, like you said, it's a revolving door. So the first 2 years under Sirianni, it was Shane Steichen,
Yeah,
and then the Colts hire him to be their head coach. It looks like he's not doing anything, but this year, obviously, he's revitalized Daniel Jones. Shane
yeah,
Steichen did a good job. He was the OC the year that they lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs.
yeah. Which
Then,
I
then
I I think that's probably well this year. I don't know. Continue.
the next
I'll
year,
give
they
your
bring
point.
in Brian Johnson. And
Hmm.
that's the year that they just completely bottomed out down the stretch, and they just got crushed by Tampa in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Um, they were awful, and there was a lot of defensive issues that year as well, which led them to bring in Vic Fangio. But offensively, seeing a lot of the same stuff that you see now. Then they bring in Saquon Barkley, and they hire Kellen Moore to take over as offensive coordinator. Kellen Moore gets the offense flowing in a new way last year. Um, and he's obviously like he called games for the Cowboys for
yeah,
years. He's been a talented mind for a while. The Saints hire him, and now they bring in Kevin Patullo, and Kevin Patullo appears to just be in so far over his head
yeah,
trying to call this offense. They are just so boring. That's really all that I can
yeah.
amount it to is they do nothing fun. They
It's not a fun team.
all of their route concepts are super rudimentary. Like I just feel like I keep seeing AJ Brown running, a 5 yard hitch route, or he's
Yeah,
gonna run a 7 yard dig, and he's running slant routes, and they'll open it up every once in a while, and like you said, Jalen Hurts throws a good deep ball, but they're never scheming guys open for like a gimme on the
yeah,
goal line. And every time they get it into 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, they're running the tush push, which was kind of ineffective last week, or
hell yeah,
this week, yesterday against the Bears. So
hell yeah,
it's like they use the tush push as kind of a crutch, but they can't run the ball outside of the tush push,
no,
and they can't throw the ball. So essentially, what they're doing is they have these long drives because they don't take these chunk plays ever. And the more first downs you get, the more chances you have to not pick up the next first down.
yeah,
Like if you're not busted like breaking off 30-yard plays, you're just taking it 10 yards at a
right,
time. Every single time you have third down, you're going to try and get 1 yard.
yeah,
Then you're going to have to run a lot of plays to score. And right now they just haven't been consistent enough offensively to have that's not a successful model for them right now. And they're 8-4. Like
yeah.
they're
That's what I was
fine,
gonna
but
say. I think that, and this is the reason. Like, you look at the Bears, right? Yeah, they're not the prettiest wins. They haven't been the prettiest wins all season long, but I wouldn't say like I don't think that they're fluky wins. And like, yeah, say what you want about the schedule, okay, but the matter of the fact is the Bears have controlled the line of scrimmage what feels like every week since week 3 of this
Mm,
NFL season. They are the second best rushing unit in football. I wouldn't be surprised if they're number 1 after this past week, right? They do not have these talented like uber all pro running backs like you
no,
see in Indianapolis or, you know,
Detroit.
anywhere else, right? You're working with DeAndre Swift, who Ben Johnson wanted out.
Yeah, he doesn't
He
like. Yeah,
drafted Jameer Gibbs for a reason. And now you have DeAndre Swift, who I- I'll let you know how I feel about DeAndre Swift. And then you have a seventh round rookie in Kyle Monangai. And that's no offense to either of those guys. Actually, it's all the offense to DeAndre Swift. But like they're controlling the line of scrimmage. They are not turning the football over. And that's what Philadelphia is doing. They're
yeah,
not turning the ball over at all. Jalen Hurts, I and they say, if your quarterback's not throwing interceptions, right, that's a bad thing because that means that you're not taking shots. That means you're not taking chances. It means you're not willing to take a risk downfield. And to that, you know, I say in a sense, yes, right? Like you'd look at, I don't know, you look at like Caleb Williams, for example. He's not turning the football over a whole lot. Like he had a pick yesterday, but he's not turning the ball over a lot. He is making the easier throws, but you're able to do that when this rushing attack is doing what they're doing. In Philadelphia, like you said, I mean, they're eating up a lot of clock. They're controlling the line. They usually control the line of scrimmage because they stay on the field. They're staying out there. They're running all 3 plays to get to fourth down. They're probably going to go for it if it's fourth and short. They're going to tush push it, and they're just going to keep going down the field. That's, I mean, the Packers game was the oh my gosh, I can't believe I watched that game with my own
yeah.
2 eyes. Like I was miserable, but it never felt like the Packers were ever going to come back in that game. But it also felt like the Eagles were never going to take full control of that game. And so say what you want, but the Eagles don't turn the football over, and if they don't turn the football over, they're gonna win a lot of games.
Now,
But at the same time, if your defense gets gouged out for 300 yards on the ground, you're never going to win those games.
yeah. Well, that's the point I was going to make. Is you bring up all these points about the Eagles' offense, but if you take a look at the box score, you would think you're describing the Bears
Right.
because the Bears just snatched the Eagles' chain is what they did yesterday. They controlled the ball for 40 of the 60 minutes in the game. The Eagles turned the ball over twice, and the Bears obviously, like I mentioned, dominated on the ground. So it's I think what this moment is going to be in the Eagles season is a wake up call,
Yeah.
and or maybe it can be a wake up call. I'm gonna say it's
Yeah,
a
losing
pendulum
to the
moment.
Bears, man, that'll do it.
It's a pendulum moment for them because either they're going to swing one way and bounce back, become this Super Bowl caliber team that was the favorite to win the NFC going in,
Yep.
or like we've seen them do 2 years ago, they're gonna bottom out. And you know the Cowboys are playing their best football and have a pretty easy schedule down the stretch.
Yeah.
There's a world in which they miss the playoffs too
Yeah.
because the
The
NFC,
NFC is
yeah,
stacked.
there's 9 really good teams and also the NFC South winner.
Like we're talking
So
about the Dallas Cowboys at what they're 6-5-1, right?
yeah, and they're in
And
ninth.
we're talking about them like
They're playing their
they're
best football.
a top 3 team in the NFC right now, right? Like that's that's the difference between the NFC and the AFC. Like in the AFC, there are a lot of teams competing for playoff spots, but you can't tell me a team like the Jaguars or the Texans is any way, shape, or form better than this Cowboys team right now, who
AFC South Slender,
is just
but
out of the playoffs. Yeah, right. And it's I don't know. I do want to talk about the Bears, of course, as we both want to do, right?
yeah,
See, and which I guess I could bring up the Eagles again. There's no reason for the Eagles to have to rely on controlling the line of scrimmage to win these football games. They have so much talent offensively, so much talent. They have so much talent defensively. They are loaded from top to bottom, talent wise. I mean, everybody could agree. The Bears are not. They the ways that you're going to win football games as a lesser opponent with less talent is you control the line of scrimmage. You hold on
Control
to the
time of
football.
possession. Yep.
You walk down the field, you wear out this defense, and you score, and then you just got to play good enough defense, right? And that's exactly what Chicago did. And everyone would say that, you know, like, yes, obviously there's talent there in Chicago, but all these close wins, dude, this coaching staff has been absolutely unreal.
I want to give props to Ben Johnson
I mean,
because the question mark going into the season, we knew this guy is an elite play caller. We've seen him command one of the best offense in football over the past 3 or 4 years in Detroit. We knew he was going to be able to revitalize the offense in Chicago. But what he has done as a coach, we didn't know if he could manage the game in the same way because Dan Campbell
oh
is
yeah,
so good at that. And Ben
yeah,
Johnson just got to sit up in the press box and just be like, yeah, like run, like he would call
yeah.
plays. But Dan Campbell has such an identity in Detroit that you don't know whenever you hire that offensive coordinator if he's going to be able to, if he has his own identity or if he's able to be able to carry that over. And he has absolutely carved out an identity with the Chicago Bears.
Oh yeah.
And again, you can talk about one score wins. You can call them fluky if you want, but there is something to be said for winning those games. Obviously, there's some luck involved when you play close football games,
Right.
but in general, the teams that are better coached win the close games. We saw that with the Chiefs last year. We've seen that with the Minnesota Vikings in the past. Um, and you're seeing it with the Chicago Bears right now.
I think the only issue that I would have, first off, let's get this notion out of the way. Okay. Back in 2018, okay, Bears hired Matt Nagy. They went on to have a great season. The difference between those two teams is the Bears have went from one of the worst offenses in football to one of the best offenses in football just like that. That Matt Nagy coach team, mind you, an offensive guru, didn't do that. Like they were a good enough offense, but they played a lot off their defense. So just want to get that stupid bullshit notion out there. All right, for everybody gonna say, oh, same thing happened with Matt Nagy. Suck a dick. All right, let's go to the back of the line, buddy. But like, and I think my only worry is where like it's not that I don't think Caleb Williams is the guy because I absolutely 1000% do. I think he's just like his identity now is Chicago. Like he's stuck. Obviously there's a lot of things that could happen and go wrong, and Bears fans are, they're definitely a group of people, right?
They are.
But
That's true. You can look that
they've
up.
been fiending, fiending for a good quarterback. And I think talent wise, this is probably the most talented quarterback the Chicago Bears have ever had in their franchise's history.
Yeah,
Okay.
bar none.
Then the thing is that Ben Johnson, I think, isn't making Caleb win the games. And I don't know if it's because he doesn't have to. I'm leaning that way because I probably wouldn't have to either if my team was rushing for nearly 300 yards on the ground. Like, but what confused me was, first off, Caleb Williams threw the ball almost 40 times yesterday. I don't know why the fuck he threw it over 20. Okay.
Yeah.
That rushing attack looked incredible. And that is kudos to obviously this offensive line. They look like one of the best units in football, which is so, man. I mean, when was the last time we were able to say that? I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a minute, but eh, but when Caleb Williams has been called upon, he's been able to walk down the field. You know, he's been able to put together drives, and they win these games. So is this a okay? Caleb's not being relied upon as much situation, or is it a we don't want to put that pressure on Caleb Williams? If it's the latter, I'm a little bit worried. But if it's just, you know, this is the game plan, this is what we're doing, so be it, right? Then okay. But I don't think that they expected to rush for 300 yards against the Philadelphia Eagles. Like that defensive line is one of the best in football. So I'm I'm confused. I'm confused with the use of Caleb Williams, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I will say that we saw Ben Johnson do the same thing with Jared Goff in Detroit, though.
Right.
Like Jared Goff was a guy that you asked him to make the throws that he needs to make, and some games he will drop back 40 times, but a lot of those are going to be pretty easy completions,
Yeah.
and you're going to rely on your ground game to win you games. That's what Ben Johnson had done. That's what he's doing in Chicago. So
But that's the thing is like, yes, he did do that with Jared Goff, but we're like, if we're talking about a talent level, Caleb Williams is one of the most talented quarterbacks in football. I mean, what he's able to do on the run. I mean, we saw it yesterday with absolutely beautiful ball to Cole Kmet. Man, I'm reliving it right now. But
yeah,
you know, you see the talent. He's got a better arm than Jared Goff. He's maybe not as accurate, of course, but he's mobile. Sneaky. I think you said it a few weeks ago at this point, and it's like Caleb Williams is like sneaky fast.
just
He is sneaky fast.
it's the same with Justin Fields.
Yeah,
It's like I
you
thought the
don't
same
realize
thing.
it.
Whenever yes, they don't look like they're moving that fast, but they are. They're hauling. Like Caleb is able to, and I don't know if it's an angles thing. I think as a defender, you see a guy who looks like he's not running that fast, but he actually is running that fast. You take a worse angle, and Caleb's able to get the edge. Like and he's also got the like Mahomes like pocket evasion
Yeah.
skill.
Oh my
That
gosh,
like
it's like
that's probably his biggest strength as a quarterback is he's able to extend plays. And I don't know if that's the case with the game yesterday, but if you see his completion percentage dipping, a lot of the time it's because he's evading a nearly certain sack. He's getting to the edge. He's extending the play for as long as he can. He's throwing it away. He
yep.
throws the ball away 10 times a game, but
Yeah,
he's not losing yards on those plays.
which is different from what he was doing last year. Now, every once in a while, you'll see him chuck a. I mean, he'll be rolling out to the right, and he'll just chuck a ball downfield,
Yeah.
and I want that. Like that's that is why he was drafted. I don't know where I would place Caleb Williams if we did a 1 through like where in the NFL he stands with other
Hmm.
starting NFL quarterbacks, because I don't think that, and I think if you were to ask Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, they would say the same exact thing. It's like I don't think that they have hit their peak with Caleb Williams.
No.
And maybe it is just a hey, this is year one of our offense. Once you get more comfortable, and once Ben Johnson gets more comfortable with a quarterback like that, maybe some things start opening up, right? And they start, you know, letting him do whatever. But there's no point of letting him do whatever right now because, I
You're winning
mean,
without. Yeah. He
you
doesn't
have a
have to
top
go
five offensive
Superman.
line. You had two running backs that just went off for okay, and that's the first time that the Bears have had two running backs since 1985 rush for 100 yards. I mean, first off, Walter Payton's on my team. I'm not handing the football off to anybody else. Don't know
True.
why that was happening at all. I saw that and I'm like, who who else would they been who else were they
Wait,
giving
hold
the
on.
fucking football
So,
to, man?
are you telling me that in the John Fox era, there was never a day where Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen both ran for 100 yards? That never happened?
No. No. According to the statistics from Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
Now, granted, they could be wrong,
I'll take the word
but
for it.
um, and I mean, just super efficient. It was such an awesome win, and I know that we could talk about the schedule, for the Chicago Bears the rest of the season. It's one of the toughest in football. Um, but then again, Green Bay also one of the toughest in football. Like they
Yeah.
like like you said, these schedules have been made. I mean, they're awesome schedules.
Mm.
I'm super excited. First off,
We're
we're
gonna get
playing. I
a
mean,
lot of good December football.
and I think that the difference between when you look at the Packers and the Lions, and then you look at the Chicago Bears, is I think the Bears are playing with house money. I don't think really anybody expected them to be 9-3 at this point in the season, and I don't think that anybody would be disappointed if they lost in the postseason. Like obviously they'd be disappointed, right? But then it's like you know you weren't supposed to be here, dude.
Yeah.
Like you've got DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monunga in the backfield. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like just a
Uh huh.
super super awesome win.
I I would have been thrilled with 7-5 at this point,
That's what I'm
but
saying. I,
like
I think I
six
would have
and
been thrilled with 6-6.
yeah,
Like I would have been like, 500 football is, it's awesome.
mm,
But super excited for next week. I think next week is it's going to be a football game for sure. I don't know if it'll be a good
probably.
one. So, I mean, the way
Last thing,
that these teams have played in the cold, they've sucked. Like both these teams have played not good football, like not pretty football. Let's say that, not pretty
yeah,
football in the cold weather. And
but I do. It's Toyota Thon though, so
did you
December
see?
Jordan Love.
I was gonna pull it up on Instagram, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't log into Instagram on my computer. But Jordan Love made a Toyotathon post on his Instagram. He was
Yeah,
like, "Happy Toyotathon," and he
he's in
knew.
on the joke.
Well, and I think my only worry down the stretch for Chicago, and this will be the last point on this game, is when I look at this defense, okay, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon came back yesterday. It obviously made a difference. Like you could tell, right? The difference in where this team was at defensively. They're still working with fourth, fifth string linebackers. Like I
Yeah,
seriously, like I've been watching Bears football for a while now. I don't know who is playing linebacker at this point in time. Like I truly don't.
there's
But
there's no way of knowing.
there's literally it's a revolving it's a revolving door. But I mean they've played great, whoever they are, they've done it.
Mm,
And I think down the stretch is the way that the Bears play defense. Is it like a lot of people will say, is it sustainable? I'm not even talking about the turnovers, because the turnovers, like if you watch these turnovers, they're not like fluky turnovers. They're not just like this team. I mean, what they've got three guys in the top five of interceptions in football right now.
mm,
Deshaun Wright, yes, he. Let's get it out there, okay? All fun and games. He kind of sucks, okay? Like, I mean, how many times we've seen him get bullied on that left sideline whenever some quarterbacks throwing it to the end zone, and I mean, he's just getting bullied, right? But then you'll have an interception. I bet on the Bears. I bet on the first touchdown score to be a Bears defensive touchdown. But it, I think that the way that Dennis Allen and his defensive scheme is set up is it's very hit or miss, right? It felt like every single play last week they're sending six players towards the court. They are blitzing, 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 blitzing. And maybe that's because Lane Johnson was out, right? But is that sustainable? Like, is it hey, if we can cause pressure, we can force them to chuck up the football, and which I guess against good quarterbacks, that's not going to work as much. And I mean, we've seen it not work. Trust, but you know, is that a formula of a defensive scheme that can work, into the postseason? And we'll see on that. People still think the Bears won't make the playoffs. I would like to think the Bears will make the playoffs, but man, I mean, from me to you, we have seen some really horrendous collapses, and so I'm not gonna pencil in the Bears making the postseason, but I mean, what a game yesterday! Like that
Yeah,
that was such a
it's a statement.
statement
That's
victory.
the statement. Yep. And yeah, like it's not like the Bears have opened it up, right? Because everyone's still, lurking. Well,
Right.
Detroit's lurking, and that's really who we need to be aware of.
Yeah.
Last point I want to talk about before we pivot to college football. Back to the, as we've talked about the Bears for a half hour, and
Hey,
going
that's
back to
good.
the
We can keep going.
going back to the Chiefs Cowboys game. That was a battle between a Matt Nagy led offense and a Matt Eberflus led defense.
Holy shit! Okay. Let's. I will give Matt Eberflus one thing. Okay, and I remember I believe it was 23, right? That was Fields' last season in Chicago. And Chicago went out and they traded for Montez Sweat. And at the time, I mean, it was awesome, right? That defense did look revitalized once he was able to get a piece that he felt fit for his defense. They go out, they do the same exact thing essentially with Quentin Williams. And I mean, we could talk about how moronic Jerry Jones is because he came out yesterday and said that he offered Micah Parsons and a first round pick for Quentin Williams before the season started.
They can't be
Oh,
true, right? Because they would have just accepted that trade
yeah,
immediately.
then that makes the Jets look stupid.
Yeah, which the Jets are stupid, so
Yeah,
maybe
I
it did
mean,
happen.
you're, I mean, oh, the Jets are. We could talk about the Jets all day, but that defense kind of looks solid at times. And it's a very not good defense, but they look solid enough to win football games like they did, And so Matt Nagy, he can. I don't know who I like worse or who I like least. I think it has to be Eberflus, but I
There was
think
at least
the
there were high
potential
moments
of
during the
Matt
Nagy
Nagy,
era. Yeah,
like the Nagy era was supposed to be. We were supposed to have the greatest offense of all time. Matt Eberflus was the dumbest hire from the start.
yeah, that was. Hey, let's bring on the guy from the 13th best defense in football to be our head coach. Yeah,
Um, yeah.
but
So go Bears,
I
right?
will say for the Cowboys, last year and maybe the year before, I don't remember how long have the Cowboys been bad. I mean, the past couple years, they were giving up 40 points every week, and it was like Dak can only do so much,
Yep.
right? It was 2 years ago that Dak, if that team could have like just broke 500, Dak would have been the MVP because he was
Yep.
putting up unreal numbers, but his defense was just that bad that they were still below average.
Yep.
Last year, Dak was playing through injuries, not the same player, whatever. Defense was equally as bad. Cowboys were worse. This year, they're keeping teams at about 30, which is still bad, but
They're
Dak can
getting
go out and
better.
win. Dak can go out and win those games now. So, oh
That's so
man,
funny. Yeah. I mean, they'd probably love to have Micah Parsons. You know.
yeah, I'd imagine having one of the three best defensive players in football would be an advantage.
So
Okay,
stupid.
let's pivot to college football. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna kill two birds with one stone here,
Yep.
and we are going to talk about rivalry week while we tier list the rivalries. So I'll pull up the list here. If you're unfamiliar, we do this every week, but we place things into a tiers. Either they're good, sneaky not ass, sneaky ass, or ass. And it's not entirely based on like it being sneaky not ass doesn't make you substantially better than being sneaky ass. It's more of compared to the general perception. This
Yeah.
is how good you are.
I
Uh,
okay. I do want to ask real quick. Is this are we basing these rivalries off of what we've seen in like our lifetime, or are we also taking into account like before us? Because
I don't really care. I would say
I'm gonna be more of a recency guy
let's
myself.
talk about I think the health of the rivalry right now.
Okay.
You
Okay. Yeah.
know, like I think that's probably the best. Like, where is the rivalry
Yeah.
at this juncture? So let's go back to yesterday's games, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on these games, but
Yeah.
let's start with the Egg Bowl. That was an 11 a.m. kick. Ole Miss and Miss State. Miss State kept it close, and then Ole Miss just kind
Sneaky
of broke it
ass, dude.
open.
Come on.
You think
Let's.
so? What
Yeah.
about? Okay, I was thinking sneaky
Mississippi
not
State
ass.
is like okay, and we'll I'll go ahead and jump ship here. Okay, you have
Go for
Alabama
it.
and Auburn, right?
Yeah,
Auburn is
was Miss
never
State.
good anymore. They're just not very. They're not a good program anymore. But they always like it is. It's down to the wire. They'll come out with a victory here and there. And I think with Ole Miss and Mississippi State, it's like Ole
Ole Miss wins
Miss.
every year at this
uh,
point.
Mississippi State is actually just putrid. I mean, they're
They're on the come up at least,
yeah,
right?
they
Like
definitely improved this
they've
year.
been UMass, but now they're just like ass.
Yeah, they're just yeah, they're
So you
just.
want to go sneaky ass
I
with the
I think so. I think
okay?
so. Unfortunately,
Um,
but the
no, it's
Egg
fine.
Bowl, that's kind of cool.
It is a good name. I my favorite Egg Bowl moment. I think it was AJ Brown that did it. He scored a touchdown, and he hiked his leg up and pissed like a dog when he
Yes,
scored on the
yes,
pylon. I believe that
yes.
was AJ Brown,
And then
and
I
he got
think
flagged for it.
yeah, I
I
think
know,
Ole ended
but
up losing that game. Did they
yeah, I
not?
believe so. Um,
That game is cool, but
yeah.
you know,
Okay, let's see what else we got. Let's talk a little Iowa, Nebraska. I wish Brendan was here.
yeah,
This is a newer rivalry, right? Because Nebraska only joined the Big Ten in 2012, 2011, around that time. But I think it's grown to be pretty strong since then, at least.
yeah. I don't know. I don't have too much
A
thought
pulse on
on
this.
this. I'm not
I don't mind
watching.
sneaking on ass here.
Like, no offense to Brendan nor any of the other Cornhuskers or Hawkeyes. Like me personally, I'm not tuning into that game. That's just
I
me.
guess
Then that's just me.
yeah. My
Maybe
it
that's
some years it does have like back when the Big Ten West was still around, this game could have importance in like who would go to a conference championship game. Um,
right.
but that's I mean Iowa yesterday. Like I feel like Nebraska same deal. They kept it close for a while and then Iowa just kind of opened it up. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Let's do. Uh, I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna jump ship here. This one's ass. I don't think these two teams are rivals, but Utah played Kansas yesterday, and yeah, I don't remember who Kansas used. I mean, obviously it used to be Missouri before they left for the SEC, but I don't know who Kansas's rival was in the Big 12 for like their rivalry week game, but it certainly wasn't Utah, and I don't know why it is now. Okay, midday now. We are moving on to Georgia and Georgia Tech, which I kind of feel like sneaky good.
Yeah, I
I
I
want to
think
know.
it's
Yeah,
a I think it's a fine rivalry. I
the
guess
game
there's
last year was excellent. I don't know if you
yeah.
remember that.
That was
They went
the
to like
eight. Was that the
seven
eight overtime
overtimes.
game? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that
D-
was fun. That was fun. Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I also even think back to like I just specifically remember George Pickens getting in a fight, and I think he missed a playoff game because of that fight. I think they had to
I do.
suspend
I feel
him,
like I remember that as well.
and
Um,
that was another great game as well. And so, a fun fact: Matthew Stafford, Georgia Bulldog, throwing to Calvin Johnson, Georgia Tech.
yeah,
What is their mascot, dude? They're something stupid.
they're the Yellow Jackets.
Yep, I
That is
I
what they are.
thought so. Okay,
I
continue though.
think I think with Brent Key possibly on the way out this year, this rivalry could have peaked. with the
Yeah.
past 2 years. But we'll see. He may keep that job, but I feel like he's done a good enough job the past couple years to where he can elevate and take one of these open jobs because there are so
Right.
many of them.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to last night's games. Um, I want to get a ruling from you on Indiana Purdue because I feel like they genuinely dislike each other, but they're just categorically awful at football almost
Yeah.
all the time. And Indiana being like a gauntlet, like a juggernaut all of a sudden has,
Right.
I feel like made it worse. Like because now they're winning by 60 every time. So
Yeah, I would say I don't feel like it's a horrible, like I don't think it's like I mean, I just don't think I think from here on out it's going to be pitiful. Like I don't think like Purdue football, let's be honest, me to you.
we'll see. Hey man, I'm not gonna dunk on Purdue football ever because they own Illinois. They own Illinois. Now we've got them the last 2 years, but they've been so bad the past 2 years that it really means nothing.
And Kurt Signetti just signed an extension. I really don't see Indiana football. I think that, well, obviously we'll see what happens this year and um yeah, I just don't think it's that I don't think it's ever been that cool
Um,
of a rivalry just from an
no,
aura
no, it
perspective.
certainly was not ever
Um and
a
yeah,
cool
I'm cool
rivalry.
with it being ass just cuz of
There's
the
not.
vibes.
What I will say about Purdue is you can't put them in the same sentence with the word cool.
Yeah,
That's an
yeah.
affiliation you cannot make.
Well,
Um,
and me being, living in the state of Indiana, and obviously we'll get to Ohio, Michigan, right? But they talk about Ohio, Michigan more than even just in-state rivalries, right?
oh
Like
yeah,
I've had these talks with these people. There's just no aura there. Let's just
I've
be real.
debated. I think I was talking with my dad about this, literally like just in a car ride or something. I was talking about what are the best rivalries in sports right now, and I actually think the only two, like the two best rivalries in sports that are just such a tier above everyone else are Ohio State, Michigan, and Bills, Chiefs. And aside from
Yeah,
that, like I don't think there's a single other rivalry in their tier.
yeah,
Okay,
especially with with the way the NBA is trending. But
yeah,
yeah,
and all right, Arizona State, in-state rivalry. Neither of these teams actually. Arizona, I think they're 9-3.
yeah.
They won
So
last night.
they are
They're
both
nine and
top
three.
25 teams.
Yes, they are. Um,
Arizona just entered the top 25.
Arizona is sneaky good. Arizona State, like the rivalry itself, in-state rivalry, but at the same time, like I feel like very little national relevance.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for the state of Arizona, it's cool. Um, but I mean, from the famous words of one of our old coworkers, Fozzie, um, the state of Arizona can go kick rocks. So let's put him in stinky ass.
Okay,
Still
and
one of
then
the phoniest, or the phoniest, one of the funniest Fozzie quotes, mind you.
yes, he was
Went
on
on an
a
absolute tear that day.
he was on a heater that day.
We'll have to deep dive into that at some point.
All right, and then the last game from the Power Fives that was played yesterday, we've got Texas and A&M, and I'm gonna go ahead and call that good,
Yeah,
if you're good with
yeah,
that.
I'm cool with that.
Which it's a rivalry renewed, right? For
Yeah,
a lot of our lifetime, they didn't play. As
yeah,
soon as A&M left for the SEC, their rivalry game was LSU and Texas. I don't even know. The Big 12. I don't know if they had like I don't know if the Big 12's ever had legit rivalries. At least since the initial SEC move, because like the Red River game was always played in week 7 or week 6 or whenever they played.
yeah,
But I will say the past 2 years, this rivalry has been, revamped. And last night, I think Texas just knocked A&M out of a first round bye in the playoff,
yeah.
right?
No,
And
that
and
was pretty And it really looked bad at first. I mean, at first, Arch looked horrible. In
Below
Arch
50%
fashion.
completion.
Yeah, shout out Arch Manning.
But yeah, the defense and the run game for Texas, which is really what they should have been relying on all year, came through. We'll talk a little more, I think, about playoff stuff next week when we're
Yeah,
talking about conference championship games and the implications of those.
right.
But I do think Texas is a long shot, but they have a path now, right? They have a good win.
Yeah,
A&M, I don't think has a path to a first round bye because they are out on the SEC championship game. I think Georgia and Indiana and Ohio State are already locks for top three seeds. And then if Bama, or well, I guess Bama has two losses, but if Ole Miss were to win the SEC, I think they jump into that fourth spot. And if not,
yeah.
then it's probably going to be a Texas Tech or an Oregon. So I think A&M is going to fall to like 7 this week because they haven't beat anyone.
Yeah, no, that's true. Which they have the Notre Dame win earlier in the
That's
season,
true.
but
In week 1, a 1 point win at home in week 1.
right, yeah, that's week 2, buddy. Week 1 went to
Oh, that was the Miami game
Miami
was week 1.
Hurricanes.
Week 2, yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about the good old Miami
Yeah, we're getting
Hurricanes.
to
The
that
Battle of the
soon.
Catholics. Love them.
Let's start. Let's okay. We don't even need to talk about what tier it's in, but let's talk about the game today. Ohio State, Michigan. The game, I say. That's just the name of the rivalry. Ohio
Yeah.
State is opening. I said open. They're currently sitting at a 9.5 point
Yeah,
favorite
I think
on the
that
road.
I think that line went down from yesterday. It was when I looked, it was at 10.5
Yeah,
yesterday.
Ohio State, and we've said this every year. Very clearly the better team heading into this game. Actually,
Right.
no, we didn't say that every year. The year that Michigan won the title, they were better. Outside of that season, though, Ohio State has been
Specifically
better.
last year.
Last year, Ohio State was a lot better, and they showed it in a lot of games after this game. But
Yes, the national championship.
but for whatever reason, Ryan Day just he hasn't been able to get it done since Michigan flaked during COVID with their awful team, and they were going to get trounced by 70, and they just said, no, we're not going to play it this year. Ever since they made that decision, they haven't lost in this game. So I think today is the day. I would love for Ohio State to walk in to the big house and win by 28 points or more.
Yeah,
That's
that
what
would
I'm
be
rooting
nice.
for personally. But
You
with
just
this
know
game,
that's not going to
that's
happen.
just it's not what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's it's so much like the Iron dude. It's a lot like, well, it's actually so much better than the Iron Bowl because both teams are usually pretty solid. Um, but last year, these teams hate each other. These states hate each other. Like it's so much more than just football when it comes to these two programs and this rivalry. It's like if you're from Michigan and you say you're from Ohio, you're automatically disliked. And it has nothing to do with going to Ohio State. It's the entire state. But last year, these two teams actually just started beating the shit out of each other after the game. Like
Yeah,
it literally just turned into a malice at the palace, and they said,
Jack Sawyer was
"But dude,
defending his turf.
mind you, mind you, that entire like post game was just brushed over. It was like, well, the rivalry. Come on,
Mm. That's what it is.
uh,
That's what it brings out of you.
yeah."
This game.
And so they just leave it be. I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome for sports. Probably not a good look for the NCAA. Who cares? I don't, because I don't like the NCAA. And so, yeah, this is one of the best rivalries. I mean, in all of sports,
Yes.
and it really
In
does
American
not get
sports,
much better. Yeah,
certainly, it's top 2.
yeah, that now maybe once we get into like the countries, right? Like the United States of America and England. Now I know that they have a really good rivalry for certain reasons, but In the United States of America, yes, Ohio State and Michigan is the best sports rivalry in the country. Yeah,
Texas
just go
Tech and
ahead,
West
just throw it
Virginia
down.
are not rivals. That's ass.
Yeah,
All right,
I
now is
don't
your
agree
window.
with that.
Let's talk Miami and Pittsburgh today. Actually, wait, before we do that, West Virginia is being kind of feisty now, but Texas Tech is a 23.5 point road favorite. So that's where we stand
That's
with
funny
that
as
game.
hell.
Miami and Pitt, old Big East game, now an
Yeah.
ACC rivalry game, I guess. I'll I'll ask for your pulse on this game.
I
The game
mean,
itself today should be good, I think.
yeah, I think. And listen, this Miami's got a lot riding on this game, right? You know, they have to win to even have a chance at the ACC championship. Um, but it's also like and we saw this last year. You lose, you're done. Like this is what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
they lost to a solid Syracuse team. But I mean, come on, right? You had you had Cam Ward. You had a great team. You have another great team, right? I think this team is. I mean, if we're going talent for talent, this is one of the most talented teams in the country, from top to bottom.
Oh yeah.
They've
Top five certainly.
they've got. I mean, they've got an incredible defense. Offensively, say what you want about Carson Beck, and yeah, he has definitely lost them some games this year. However, he's won them a lot of games as well, and he played super well. And what this team is riding on is the Notre Dame win. Like
Oh yeah.
that is, and last year they did not have a Notre Dame type win. This year now, which you have Pitt, who's a top 25 team, just as a rivalry. I don't think that it's anything worth. I would say it's sneaky not ass. Um, just because I do think like both programs are good programs, and it's always going to be a solid game, right? And
Yeah.
it has been, but I just fucking hate Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, he stinks. You're never winning anything with Mario Cristobal as your coach.
Unfortunately,
That's
that is the case. Yes. So, but
okay.
yeah, I would say sneaky not us. That's my.
Kentucky Louisville, big time basketball rivalry.
Yeah,
Um,
basketball. It is incredible.
it's a good one.
Like that's. I mean,
Football, they care about the basketball a little more in the state of Kentucky than the football. This is an 11 a.m. kick. Again, I guess noon local time. Louisville, I guess, is going in with a backup quarterback, but they're one of the better teams in the ACC, and Kentucky's one of the worst teams in the SEC. And Louisville's
do you
is at
know?
home, and it's a
Do you
one and a
know?
half point s- spread for Louisville.
Uh, I was gonna ask if you know who is starting that game. I know that they ran with a freshman last week, but
I
there's also fun fact: Braden Allen, who is well, we thought was slated as the backup quarterback, um, was a Gibson Southern Titan. Fun
okay.
fact: football team that I call games for. He committed to the University of Purdue in
And then he
21.
followed Brom.
Yes, and then transferred to Louisville and has not played. He actually played last week through an interception, but he only had 3 pass attempts. So if he's playing, I actually tune into that game. But that would be the only reason I would tune into that
He
game.
is not starting. They are going. It's Miller Moss is going to give it a go. Is the quote that
Ooh,
he gave.
wow.
So,
Okay.
and it's still one and a half. Anyway, regardless, rivalry wise, I'm thinking maybe sneaky not ass as well.
Yeah, because I mean, I, these two schools hate each other for sure. But I mean, in basketball, man, I mean, especially with, well, I mean, we could talk about that on a different episode, but with the resurgence of Louisville's program, it's back to being cool to
Yeah.
not like Kentucky and not like Louisville again because it was in the dumps. I do want to write an article on that fun fact about like the the decline, which obviously there were so many different factors that went into the rough stretch for Louisville, but now they're back. Now they're like good again, so it's awesome to see that.
Yeah. All right, and Clemson, South Carolina. I think I'm gonna go good.
Yeah,
I think that's like people in South Carolina respect that rivalry. It's a cross conference rivalry, but this game has had a lot of importance in years past. This year it doesn't,
yeah. This year it doesn't,
but
but you know,
I would still venture to guess it's going to be a pretty good game because well, let's see. Hold on. I'm on record watch now. Oh no, okay. No, nothing exciting there. Clemson already has their sixth win. South Carolina is 4-7, so they
yeah,
cannot make a bowl game.
yeah,
But regardless, those are two teams that hate each other, and they're going to play a good game.
yeah.
Okay, Houston and Baylor. Houston, a new add to the Big 12. I don't remember. I was not alive during the Southwestern Conference years. I'm assuming Houston was in that league. Um, but I think I'm just gonna. I think
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Big 12 may unilaterally end up. I guess Arizona
yeah.
State is technically Big 12. It might unilaterally end up in this tier because next up we have the Deion Sanders led Colorado Buffaloes and the Kansas State Wildcats. Where's K State at? There they are. Who
um,
I don't think is a rivalry either. Obviously, they were in the Big 12 together. I think Colorado was a Big 8 school as well. Um, but those two teams are so irrelevant right now that, again. And then, here we go. Okay, these
damn, we
two
got a
teams
lot of
have.
ass.
Yeah, I think there's going to be. These two teams have actually been in the same league for several years now. We've got the Iowa State Cyclones and the Oklahoma State Cowboys, which I think I'm also just going to put an ass because Oklahoma State just is just so bad. Again, the Big 12.
Zach
If
is gonna
Zach
be
was on the
pissed.
show, maybe Zach could defend his honor of his league.
Well,
But
yeah, well, he's 45 years old, so he actually saw the creation of Oklahoma State. But and this is just me personally. I'm a guy that I like. I'm a recency guy, right? And not like super super recency, but like I mean, yeah, there's historic rivalries and there's just like you just keep saying your rivals, but it's just not a rivalry at this
yep.
point. Like, you know what I mean? And so
Mm-hmm.
uh, we don't care about Oklahoma State.
Nope. All right, and then
Have
I'm
your
gonna.
way.
We got UCF and BYU.
You throw it an
Why
ass.
are they playing? And then
Don't know.
Boston College, Syracuse. Um, those two teams are also just so useless. I mean, they were big. I think Big East rivals for a time. Now they're in the ACC as well. Um, but the Boston College football program is just an unmitigated
Putrid.
disaster. And Fran Brown's Syracuse team has bottomed out this year,
Yep.
and I'm assuming he will be taking a job elsewhere. I don't know where yet, but that is what I have assumed. Okay, here we go. Here's a rivalry that's worth talking about. We got Oregon and Washington.
Yep.
They're playing on CBS today at 2:30 on the Oregon on the road, 6.5 point favorite. Probably need to hold on to confirm their playoff case, and
Yep.
also they need to win and have some help to play in the Big Ten title game. Um,
I'd probably
I think sneaky
say,
good,
yeah,
sneaky good for
yeah.
Oregon Washington. I think that's the right spot for them.
Those
Again,
have
like
both been two good programs.
I would say two
For
years ago when this was the Bo Nix Mike Penix game. I guess 2 years and 3 years ago because
yeah,
they were
that
good both
was
years. But those teams were
yeah. Those were
pretty
super
good
fun
at the
games.
same time. Shout out to Dan Lanning, one of my
Yeah.
favorite coaches in college football. He's doing a great job at Oregon, and he would never leave them for a Miami program. LSU, Oklahoma.
Oh man.
Those two
Uh,
teams are good, but I think I might go sneaky ass here because like LSU is in this weird spot where they are, they can be one of the best teams in the SEC. They're obviously not quite there this year. And they're one of the top brands in the SEC. But they've been kind of left out to dry when it comes to the rivalry
Yeah,
week
yeah,
because their biggest rivals are Alabama, who is going to play in the Iron Bowl, and is Ole Miss, who's going to play Miss State. And
yeah,
they used to play A&M in this game, which was kind of developing into a pretty good rivalry. But now
right,
that
yeah.
Texas joins the league, they have now become the Oklahoma rivalry week game, which again, like these two teams are good enough to where the game is good, but I think rivalry
Just from a
wise there's
rivalry
a little
standpoint,
bit
yeah,
left to be desired.
right. I agree.
Okay, now we have the Tennessee Volunteers as they take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. And I'm kind of thinking maybe along the same lines as this Kentucky Louisville game.
Right.
And like these
Like a
two teams,
baseball.
yeah, they're obviously great baseball schools, but like the game itself isn't super appealing, which this year at least you've got two top 20 teams. Tennessee's a 2.5 point home favorite. Um, but there's enough of a rival. Obviously, I think Tennessee's biggest rival, they'd probably tell you, is Alabama or Georgia.
Right.
But I think it's still worthwhile to put in sneaky not ass.
Um, then, you can criticize me for my common ball knowledge here, but is is which I'm just thinking of this off the top of my head. Is Vandy at 2 losses or are they at 3 losses?
Vandy, I believe, is a two-loss SEC team, right? They, yes, 9-2.
Okay.
They lost
So
to
there's still a
Texas.
path for there
Yeah,
should be a path for them
Alabama.
for the college football playoffs.
They again,
Correct.
they're in that same Texas boat. They need help. They're at 14 right now. But if they get a road win against Tennessee, and they get Miami losing and BYU loses, they could jump up into that bubble E range.
I
That's
mean, surely
the
they would have a
annoying.
better case for like I just don't understand the college football playoff committee.
I don't like the committee. The fact that the committee gives us the rankings every week. Like obviously it's nice to know where you're at, but like the bubble is a lot less exciting. You know where exactly where you're at all times. Whereas in college basketball, you have no idea. The committee doesn't tell you anything about the bubble until the tournament brackets
Yeah.
released, and you're just like, okay, like I think we did enough, but we're not actually sure. Vandy
Yeah.
knows exactly the position they're in if they want to get in.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Mizzou, Arkansas. I kind of like. Obviously, the Arkansas isn't great this year. This is a SEC Network game you can get in for $8, but 4.5 point spread in Missouri's favor. I'm thinking maybe sneaky not ass. This is an
Yeah,
old.
I'm okay with that.
Well, I guess Arkansas was in the Southwestern Conference, but I think that since Missouri joined the SEC, they have done a good job fostering this rivalry. I think it's Missouri's biggest rival in the conference, and
Yeah.
like Missouri, who is the obvious like redheaded stepchild of the SEC, like they don't fit in at all geographically or you know history of the program, but
Right.
I think they've done a really good job of breaking into the league the past
Yeah.
15 years or whatever. Like I feel like they've they've done a good enough job working themselves in. Wisconsin, Minnesota, which I you can make fun of me. I need to brush up on my Big Ten rivalry game. I believe this is the Paul Bunyan game.
Dude, this would be such a Brendan topic right now.
Yes, the
Like
Minnesota Wisconsin
Brendan
football rivalry. They play for Paul Bunyan's axe. I was considering, depending on who we had on the show, I was considering throwing up all the Big Ten trophies, and we were gonna tier them instead of the games. Just like,
right.
hey, this is the Floyd of Rosedale, which is just like a metal pig that Iowa and Minnesota play for, and like, hey, Illinois and Ohio State play for this turtle called the Illibuk, but they only play once every 15 years.
Right.
Um, but so this is the Paul Bunyan Axe game, which again, the teams themselves are not,
Right.
super competitive. I think Minnesota has their 6 wins, right? I mean, Wisconsin just beat Illinois last week though, so Wisconsin's feisty. But yeah,
Wisconsin also, yeah, they have a top 25 win as well against
two,
Washington.
yeah, Washington and Illinois in back-to-back weeks they have top 25 wins,
Damn,
whereas
I did
2 and 3
not
weeks.
notice that, man. That
Yeah,
is, it's pitiful.
they're playing Luke Fickell. As soon as they inspired confidence in him by saying we'll let you keep your job for this year, they've been pretty good. They're playing inspired ball. I'm going to throw it in the same group. I think it's sneaky not ass. Just because I think there are stakes there. I think these teams don't like each other.
Yep.
And there's a trophy for it at least. But the game itself does not move the needle.
Yeah.
Penn State and Rutgers is going straight to ass.
Yeah,
These Rutgers cannot be in a competitive rivalry with anyone, especially Penn
because
State.
Rutgers is ass.
Yes. Wake Forest and Duke. I think probably ass. Where's Wake at?
Yeah.
Wake Forest. I believe. This game though is actually going to be like a sneaky good game this year. Duke's a 1.5 point favorite. I don't. Yeah, ACC or Wake Forest is not in the ACC title picture, but they are 8-3, which you would have no idea. Are you
Yeah.
learning for the first time now that Wake Forest has an 8-3 football team?
Yeah. No, wow, I did not know
But
that either. I think
but
that just
Duke,
helps bolster up the ACC,
yeah, the strength of the
conversation.
conference.
Yeah, it just
Well,
helps
here's the
helps
other
that out
side
a
of
little
it:
bit.
is Duke is they have a path to the ACC title game, and they're 6-5. So that's kind of the wrinkle for this game. But yeah, I think it'll be a good game at least. Like I'm excited to watch it. Cincinnati and TCU are not rivals. They are going in ass. I don't. Yeah, I actually just think the Big 12's like, yeah, we'll just schedule like random games this week. Okay. Here we go. Florida State and Florida.
I think that's
Obviously, a lot of stakes typically for this game. Like I feel like this is historically a good rivalry. Florida State is playing for bowl eligibility as well. Florida's done,
yeah.
but
I mean, I don't know.
do we
Mm,
want? I mean, again, Florida hasn't been nationally competitive for 5 years,
right.
and Florida State's bottomed out. Like, are you considering sneaky ass?
Well, I'm considering I feel like Florida and Miami, like
It's a
I'm just
three.
thinking of like that. I'm thinking of the Florida rivalries right now.
It's a
And
three-way
thinking of
rivalry between those three
where,
schools.
yeah, and I think that, yeah, let's throw it stinky ass. Like
I
I don't
think
think it's really,
it's a good rivalry, but like right now, these two programs are playing some very uninspiring football, right?
yeah, especially
Um,
Florida. Wow, is Florida playing some uninspiring football?
and this one isn't technically um, a Power Four rivalry anymore, but I do want to throw up Oregon State and Washington State as part of this. Um, they okay, yeah, they played a couple weeks ago already. Oregon State won. It's one of their 2 wins. They are 2-9. Washington State fighting for bowl eligibility at 5-6. They're playing again twice in the same month, and they're and they're not good. This is the I don't know. I think if Washington State wins this game at home, they should play again next week for the Pac-12 championship. 'Cause they would be 1-1 in the league against each other.
Dude, this is okay. Like,
On a comical
yeah,
level, this rivalry is
it's
sneaky not
actually
ass.
fun. It's actually
Yes.
cool. Like,
Whereas,
this is not the first time either that both these teams have been really bad playing against each other, and they're good. Like, it's actually not a bad rivalry, even though both teams are. It's almost like you really expect them. You expect it to be a bad rivalry because both teams suck, but it's never. It's just not. It's almost like comedic.
It is. It's I this I will be watching this game. It's on the CW
Yeah,
network, but I'll be watching at least some of this game. Um,
I did not know it was on
and
the CW
again,
network.
these two
That is
schools, like the Oregon Washington game, was not a rivalry week game. Each of these schools played their in-state team,
yeah,
but now that obviously the Pac-12 is disbanded, this is your game that you wait all season for.
right.
Okay, now we've got Va Tech and UVA, which I think I'm gonna throw in the same category
Yeah.
because Virginia's playing for something, right? They're still in the ACC race, and Virginia Tech can obviously play some spoiler here.
Yeah, which I mean, they seem to be pretty stoked anyways with James Franklin coming in,
Yeah,
so I don't really think they mostly care. Yeah, just yeah.
Maryland Michigan State's
Wow.
that's not a rivalry. Like I don't
Okay.
know. Again, Michigan State gets kind of shafted because their only real rival is Michigan, and
Yeah.
obviously they're gonna play this game in
Right.
this week. So I know they had been playing Penn State. I think they're just kind of shuffling these four schools year
Trying to
by
figure
year,
out what
see
works.
who plays who. Yeah, because I know Maryland and Rutgers have played each other. I'm assuming Maryland and Penn State have done the same thing. This is literally just the who's left in the Big Ten East, because
Yeah.
obviously these two play. Indiana is going to cross over and play Purdue, and then you've got the other four teams that were left, and none of them are actually rivals.
Right.
Um, okay, let's talk Iron Bowl. We're putting it in good
Yeah, obviously.
because the game's good. It's the second most notable rivalry in college football.
And I would probably still say it is the second best, probably.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, you look up here in the top tier, like those are your candidates. I would say, at least for now, it certainly remains at the top.
and Auburn is always playing spoiler. Like there was a time where this Auburn football program was awesome, elite. Now, they were a top 25 team at one point in the season, but they have Jackson Arnold at quarterback, who I don't even know. I don't even think.
Is he still? I don't even know if he's
I,
still
I
the
don't know
guy.
if he'll.
They benched him. They put in the other kid who was a freshman, and they became like miles better. Um,
So I
yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
he's gone.
I always root for Auburn. I always catch myself rooting for Auburn though, just because like big bad Alabama, and then there's Auburn, who somehow always finds a way to compete. Like it will go down to the wire. Just a couple years ago, Jalen Milrow
Yeah, he
and
had to
Alabama
save the
were,
game
yeah,
with like a
it saved
fourth
the
and
season.
31. Yeah,
Yeah, that was a season-saving play from Alabama, and Auburn. I mean, what they won? Oh, when was the last time they won? Oh my gosh, it was recent. Was it
was I'd
22?
say was it one of the Bryce Young years?
I
I'm
want to
looking
say it
up
was
the
22.
history. Iron Bowl. All right, let's see. The current win streak, Alabama has won 5 in a row. So 2020 to
Really?
present. But but yeah, Auburn has not been good in that time. And
No.
and they have this is a long Wikipedia page.
But they always play good. They
Let's see.
always play good against Bama.
Yep, in 2019, that was the year that Alabama was really, really good. Maybe the best team of the Saban era. And then Tua gets hurt again in the LSU game. And they bring in Mac Jones a year too early. Um, and I'm sorry, I lose my train of thought. And he just wasn't ready. And Auburn won that game. Auburn was in a place that year to like maybe sneak into the playoff with 2 losses, the 14 playoff for the first time, but then they lost the SEC championship. But yeah, since then they have not won the game. And I saw a tweet, I believe this is the 8th consecutive year that it will be a different coaching matchup in the Iron Bowl, which is
Insane.
shocking. Okay. Then we have UCLA USC, which I'm going to put in sneaky ass
Yeah.
because they don't care about each other.
Yeah.
They really don't. Like USC is not concerned with UCLA, and UCLA is not concerned with the sport of football. So
Yeah. That is very apparent. And
now,
like vice versa in this, like in basketball, it's like also the same exact. It's like USC
think-
only cares about football.
I think USC might be better than UCLA this year. Now we've got the game for Abe Lincoln's hat, the Illinois state rivalry game between the Illini and Northwestern.
I'll let you have that one. How do you feel about Northwestern?
Yeah, I mean it's whatever. I don't think Illinois really views it as like I don't think the Illinois program cares a ton about Northwestern. I think that they as a program Illinois I think has tried to establish a rivalry with Iowa. And the Big Ten's kind of taken that game away from us whenever they remove the divisions in the Big Ten. But yeah, I would say that Illinois Northwestern is just not a game that people are super worried about. That being said, I would consider it a rivalry, which aside from this game, none of these are. So I think I'm just going to put it in sneaky ass.
Okay.
But I would love, at some point in the near future, Illinois is reestablishing a non-conference game with Missouri, and I think that will be kind of our chief rival for the short-term future.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and throw sneaky not ass here within Carolina and Carolina State. If you could
Yeah.
get behind that, I think this is
Yeah,
your North
it's-
Carolina football rivalry. Obviously, Carolina Duke and basketball is a great rivalry, but this is your football one. And this year, I believe that Belichick's boys are playing for bowl eligibility. Nope, they're 4-7. I lied.
Yeah, you idiot.
A lot of 4-7 versus 6-5 this week.
Yeah, I mean that's
okay.
what you see in the ass territory down there. It's
hmm
a lot of not very good.
But again, Belichick was our preseason Flaming Car Crash team of the year. So
Not Brendan's. Brendan's was Oklahoma.
yeah, which has aged poorly. Just a couple left.
Yeah.
We've got SMU and California. Those two teams just aren't rivals.
Yeah. I don't
Where the
really.
Stangs at?
I don't really.
Where's SMU at? Am I blind?
SMU is
There they are.
the
There they are.
third one.
They're up top.
Yeah. And then
SMU and
Stanford
Cal.
is. Or
Cal.
not Stanford. Yeah. Duh.
Cal. There we are.
Cal very
Yeah,
end.
those two
so.
teams just aren't rivals. And then to close it off, we have Notre Dame and Stanford, which I understand why
Yeah.
the rivalry exists. They've
But there's
played
no
each other
point.
forever, but Stanford is just fallen off a cliff in football, and I don't think they're on the way up. Notre Dame's a 32.5
Whoa!
point road
Not
favorite.
on the way up. Andrew
I'm sorry.
Luck?
Not swiftly on the way up. They are on the way up, but I think it's going to be a slow climb.
Andrew Luck, man.
They had a period in the 2010s. Stanford football was like legit enough. They had like Richard Sherman, like I said, Andrew Luck. They
had some
They had a
ballers.
run. They had the run in the late 2010s where McCaffrey should have won or could have won the Heisman, like he was there.
Yeah,
And then Bryce Love probably should have won the Heisman.
yeah.
But with that
They
being
just
said,
haven't. Yeah.
yeah, I think this. Yeah, I'll put it in sneaky ass.
Who
All right.
is Frank Wright still the coach?
Yes, he's the interim guy, but they they hired someone recently. Like they announced. Hold on, let me see if I can.
That's such
Stanford.
it. I just remember it being a such a poorly ran situation because Andrew Luck was essentially like, yeah, no, Frank Reich's not going to be our long term guy,
Yeah, we'll bring him in for
but
this
he's going to
year.
be our guy this year.
He was like an
I was
interim
like,
guy that they brought in the spring,
yeah.
which is like I feel like at that point you could have made a full time hire. Tavita Pritchard, who was the Washington
Oh,
Commanders QB coach. That was very
that just
recent.
came out like a couple days ago,
Yesterday.
did it not?
Yeah, Pete Thamel wrote about it
Okay.
yesterday. So I'm assuming, yeah, yesterday. Okay, so this is our tier list of the college football rivalries and games this week. I guess today. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I'll be watching Ohio State, Michigan for sure. That's like, I mean, I think everybody's going to be tuned into that one.
yeah,
I will probably not be tuned in to any of those other games. Washington State and Oregon State is just so funny to me.
it
Like that's
is.
just such a funny game, and I remember it being super funny last year too. And so it's just hilarious. I love watching those two teams play because they're ass.
Yeah,
Which I
they
guess
again,
last year
whichever
Washington State wasn't
2 years ago,
horrible.
they were both like that was Cam Ward and DJU, and they were like in the mix in the Pac-12. The last year of the Pac-12 might be the best league that has ever played college football. Um,
DJU versus Cam Ward. Now,
good
listen, I
stuff.
love Cam Ward, but he's kind of he's is he showing his true colors in Tennessee? I hope not. I think he's just
I think yeah.
they're just ass. But
I'm
yeah,
scrolling through our college basketball slate today, and I don't think there's a single game worth watching. So that's nice. At least we didn't miss anything there. Um,
yeah,
Pretty good feast week though. We're not going to talk about it. Obviously, we're running way over time now. But thank you guys for listening. I'm sure we'll do some college basketball talk as soon as college football dies down, which will be next week. We'll just be talking about conference championships. But like I
yeah,
mentioned at the top of the show, links are in the description for our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, uh, and then like and subscribe the page while you're here. Um, and 5outpod.com, the hub for all of our
yeah,
information, articles that Austin's
yeah.
writing.
I'm gonna. I kind of took a week off due to Thanksgiving. You know, the holidays, of course. But I've got some good ideas. I kind of want to write some more. I don't know, like not strictly based off what is happening, like on the court. I guess it's a lot of stuff off the court. So uh, there is an NBA article in there, and I really want to dive into the downfall of the NBA. So I think that'll be a fun one. And then I want to talk about my favorite sports movie ever, and so um, generational sports movie, mind you.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I
Yep.
think we'll be back. I'll be back to posting and writing a little bit more as for the rest of the month and heading into December. Then once Christmas comes around, my birthday is January 1st for anyone who doesn't know. So don't expect an article on January 1st due to the fact that it will be my birthday. So and
Noted.
that will be disgusting. So
And bracketology coming two
yes,
weeks.
yes,
Is 2 weeks a realistic
yeah,
timeline? That's when I'll start posting
it's
brackets.
yes, it's. I think what we're going to do is I'm gonna play around with some stuff. I'm still getting the website looking good and such, and we'll play around with some stuff. It should be pretty cool though, regardless.
Love it. All right. Thank you guys all for listening once again to this long episode of Five Out.
Yeah.
But we will see you at the same time next week. Have a good one.